Hello and welcome to ChessGoblin. In this video, you will learn the basics of the Englund Gambit, an opening where you turn a slow positional game into a tactical masterpiece. This is one of my favorite gambits and one that I've had much success with. I've played this gambit in over-the-board classical games and have got even winning positions against a 2300 and have won many games against 2000 plus opponents online. This is a highly underrated gambit, but if you learn it, you can have huge success with. This gambit starts out, and it is a gambit for black, when your opponent plays d4. And often, opponents who play d4 are slower positional players, and you can break that up, break them out of their theory by attacking with the aggressive e5 pawn. And this immediately pushes the game into a more open, tactical, aggressive game. In this video, I will show you the basics of this gambit, and at the end, I will give you a bonus trap that you can use in this gambit to steal your opponent's queen. This gambit is generally played in the captured variation, and that's generally what your opponent plays and the best variation. So that's what I'll be showing in this video. It's after your opponent captures your pawn on e5. And here, you want to push out your knight, attacking their pawn. And there's a couple main responses that white does here. If, for example, they move out their knight to c3 here, you just recapture your pawn and you are doing great here. But most of the time, they will try to hang on to this pawn and protect it. The most obvious way to do it is with their knight. And then what you want to do is just apply more pressure to this pawn by pushing out your queen. And there's a couple responses that white can do in this position. Firstly, if they don't decide to protect this pawn more by, say, pushing their knight out, you just recapture your pawn and trade off knights, and you are doing wonderfully here as black. But most of the time, or the stronger times too, your opponent will try to protect this pawn or attack your queen by moving out this bishop, either to f4 or to g5 on these two squares. And whatever your opponent does of either of those two moves, you then develop your queen to b4, forking the king, this pawn, and then also this bishop here. And for example, if your opponent just tries to block with a pawn, well, you can just easily pick up this bishop here, and you're doing great. Another way that they might play is try to block with this knight. And here, you just want to pick up their bishop, and there might be a sneaky trap here where they try to bring out their knight, forking your queen and this pawn. You do not have to worry about this here as black. You just want to slide your queen over. They will capture here, forking your king and rook. You slide your king over, but now their knight is trapped in the corner, and you picked up two pieces now because their knight cannot escape. You'll be picking up their knight and their bishop for a rook, and black is doing great in this position. But the strongest move for black to do in this, or white to do in this position to defend, is bringing back their bishop so they hang on to it and also attacking your queen. And here, you want to capture this pawn. And here, there are two main moves that white does in this position. Firstly, they bring out their bishop, trying to protect the rook and also attack your queen. And this is actually just lost for white. And here, you bring out your bishop, pinning it to their king. And if white, for example, tries to break up this pin by moving their queen up, you can just capture their bishop. And if they try to hang on to their queen by recapturing, they actually hang checkmate here. Another way that they might play is after you capture their bishop, they recapture their knight, then they just lost their rook, and after they have to defend from the check, you pick up their pawn, and you've just devoured that side of the board. So if they bring out their bishop, the best thing that they can actually do here is just capture it. You recapture with your knight, and with the later idea of bringing here, the rook is also stuck in the corner, so the only way to defend that is they have to sacrifice their knight here. You take that, and white is just completely lost here. So now you know what to do if they bring out their bishop here. if they decide to bring out their knight here, which is the stronger move for his white. You just bring out your bishop anyway, pinning it, making a long pin at the king. The strongest move is bringing this rook over. You dodge the queen. These are the strongest moves here for white, and then you pull back the queen. And these are kind of the basics of the position, and there's a couple more variations here where maybe your opponent tries to bring out this knight here, threatening this pawn on c7 here, also attacking the bishop here multiple ways. And here, you can just pick up this knight here, no problems. And if they capture your bishop back, here, well, you want to capture back with your knight, because it's also protecting the king, or the queen, I mean. After they recapture it, now you can capture this a2 pawn in the corner. And this a2 pawn, for the majority of this position, is kind of a poison pawn. Although sometimes it is not protected, and back in these positions here, when this knight moves, this may look like a free pawn here, but it actually, there could be a lot of traps here with bringing the rook over, and your queen can often get trapped in the corner. So you generally do not want to take it. But in the later position where I just showed here, where I just showed after they recapture here, now it is free. The other way that your opponent might play is they push this pawn to e4, protecting the knight for the later knight push. And here, you want to bring your knight over with a future idea of opening up this lane for a castle. And then also something to keep noted, sometimes you want to scoot this king over to d8 here to protect this f7 pawn. This will be a vulnerable square using the Englund Gambit. Just something to keep noted for your future games. And here, now, if your opponent moves their knight out here, trying to attack your bishop multiple ways, you just want to trade it off. And if the queen goes out, you can just trade off queens here. And now, you're doing great. Be careful, though, if you try to capture this knight back right away, because if you do that, you have to move your knight back to e7. If, for example, you think this pawn is free here, you'll actually hang because it's getting pinned to the king here. And then if you try to move it or something, or protect it, this pawn will push in, it's terrible. So here, after you trade off your queen, you just want to slide your king over to d8. Another way that your opponent could play is they push this pawn here. There are many positions where they push this pawn here. And when they push this pawn here, you just want to trade off your bishop on this c3 square. And after they recapture it, there are many safe places for your queen to go, such as here's probably the best square onto c5 here, because if they later push this pawn, they're attacking your queen if it be down there. And now you also can escape your queen down this diagonal. These are kind of the basics that you use with the Englund Gambit. And now I will show you the bonus trap that you can use to steal your opponent's queen. And it starts off in the Englund Gambit. After you sacrifice this pawn, you can hop into this gambit. There's a couple different transposes, but the main way, you bring out your bishop. And if your opponent tries to protect this pawn, either by moving this knight out or bringing out this bishop here, you just sacrifice a pawn. They capture it. Then you sacrifice a knight. And if they capture this knight, you can actually sacrifice another piece, sacrificing your bishop here. And now White's king has to take the bishop because they cannot move over here because with the queen coming down. So they take it, you recapture White's queen, and then you just start devouring all these pieces on the right side of White's board here. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. It really helps. And subscribe if you have not already done before. I hope to see you in the next video.